Do we always go camping? Why do I have to go there for the school trip too? Please, Mom, I want to stay at home and play video games for once. I whined, following around my mom, who was busy doing house chores. Your school manipulated me into paying your camping fees. There's no way I'm going to let you go in vain, she said in a strict voice while loading clothes into the washing machine. But Mom, no buts. You're going there. End of conversation. Now move along. I have plenty of work on my hands. She walked off after finishing her sentence, and I couldn't help but helplessly sigh. I was never fond of things like camping trips and wilderness, but since this was the only idea of fun my family ever came up with every single holiday break, I had no other choice but to attend it. What crossed the limit when even my school organized the very same thing I had grown tired of, and my mom, being a pushover, handed the money to Miss Sandra, who was the teacher in charge of this trip. Now she was pushing me to go there. Finally, the day arrived, and after dropping me off at school with my luggage, Mom went to work. I wanted to run off right then and there, but I don't see why I hesitated. My friends Paul and Robert spotted me, and as they were coming to me, I could see their faces beaming up looking at how I was finally tagging along after clearly telling them that I didn't want to go. We went to the bus, and after putting our bags down, we took our seats. We reached the campsite at noon, and after having lunch, the teacher started with the activities they had planned. But the things they were making us do was utterly boring, as I had already grown tired of them after doing all of them multiple times with my cousins. Things took a turn when they made us do a scavenger hunt right before sunset. They hid cooking items around the area and gave each team the task of searching for them and making food for the team. The one who was to finish their meal first would be the winner. During the hunt, two kids, Marcus and Luca, from different teams came across the same item. Arguments started about who got there first, while none of them let the other party take it. As the commotion grabbed my attention, I stopped whatever I was doing and went there to see what was going on. I stood there watching the small argument turn into a heated one, without any intention of stepping forward and stopping them, as this seemed to be the only interesting thing about the entire trip. Marcus's hair ended up in Luca's fist, and he said something that I couldn't quite understand, which pissed him off. Within a matter of time, the fight turned violent, and each one of them was eating dirt by the other's hand. By the time teachers and the rest of the kids took notice, they've started bleeding from their noses, along with multiple bruises on their bodies. They were immediately taken inside of one of the tents and got first aid treatment. I don't think any of the kids knew half as much as I did after all those trips with my family. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done something as foolish as this. Camping was no easy thing for those who haven't done it before, and having those injuries was only going to make it worse for the rest of the trip for those two. I was determined to not give a damn about whatever transpired around me, so I shrugged it off and went back to getting bored. After such a brutal fight, one might think they were done with each other and might have probably learned their lesson, but that wasn't the case at all. It was when we were taking a dip in the lake when Marcus and Luca started a speech fight again, but stopped after receiving a scolding from the teacher, and she gave them another warning before heading to the camping area for something. About half an hour had already passed since I had started to swim, so I followed her to the camping area and got into my tent to change into a new pair of clothes. When I got out of the tent, I saw Miss Sandra setting up the food on the mat. "Isaac, can you be a deer and the other kids for lunch? The food's prepared?" I nodded my head in response, as she noticed me looking in the direction and asked me. Following her order, I went ahead and started calling the scattered kids one by one. When I got back, I noticed everyone was present near the mat except for Marcus and Luca. Something felt off. I remembered I last saw them swimming in the lake, but not after that. My eyes met with Miss Sandra, and judging by her expression, she was thinking the same as me. We both ran toward the lake and started looking for them when I found a panicked Marcus hiding behind a tree near the lake, but there was no sign of Luca. As he saw us, he started crying and pointing toward the lake where Luca was last swimming, along with repeating his name. This was the first time I felt thankful for all those trips and adventures with my family that taught me so many things. I immediately ran in that direction and dived upon reaching. Luckily, I found him drowning, and since he hadn't gotten too deep yet, I was able to pull him out. The teacher immediately started compressing his chest and performing CPR, and after a few failed attempts, he threw up a lot of water along with coughing. Since he was in urgent need of medical attention, she drove him to the nearest hospital she knew of, leaving us in the care of Mr. Goodman. Marcus confessed to him later on that they started to argue again, and when Luca slapped him, he got so angry that he started beating him in the water. He couldn't understand if his foot slipped or something else, but in the middle of the grapple, Luca started drowning. He didn't say anything after that and just started crying again, so none of us knows if he tried to save him or ran away after getting panicked. The trip ended there, and we were brought back home safely. I immediately rushed to tell Mom about everything that went on the trip, which made me scared for her, and she promised never to send me off to another school trip. I don't know about that. I mean, whatever happened was horrifying indeed, and I'm thankful that Luca's safe now. But for some reason, this was the most memorable and unique camping trip I had experienced.